vous accueillir pour cette conférence, stockage et batterie, innovation et nouveaux services. Donc Nathalie Croiset, je suis journaliste spécialiste des questions de transition énergétique et donc ravie d'être avec vous. It is a conference. I start to speak English because one of our speakers is speaking English. So if it's okay for everyone, we will talk English now. It's okay? And even French people will talk English. It's okay for you also? Voilà. À la fin, si vous voulez poser des questions en français à nos interlocuteurs français, vous pourrez le faire. But it's easier for Svet to understand everything, so it's why we will talk English about storage, battery, and innovation and new services. I will present all the speakers. Arnaud VILLERS D'ARBOUET. Hello.
Yes, hello.
You are CEO of Mecaware for metal capture for waste recycling. I think that the words can explain a lot of things, but you will explain a little bit more what is your innovation in a few minutes. Philippe Jacques, who is a managing director of Emiri. It's an association that interacts with Brussels to guide research programs. Also, you will explain us what you do. And Svet BAJLEKOV.
Hello.
Hello, thank you very much. You are co-founder and CEO of AMMP Technologies, with not only, but you developed a platform providing remote control and management for energy service companies in energy markets. So as I said, because we will all speak English, sorry, but Christopher Brandon from AH Group must be here today, but he is sorry, but one member of his family is positive to COVID-19, so he can be with us. So sorry, but we will don't speak of few cell with him, but another time maybe. So as I said, vous pourrez poser vos questions. You can ask all the questions at the end of this round table, because the idea is not only that we will speak all together, but also you can ask questions. As we said about this subject, and as you know, and to support the development of renewable energies, which production is viable and decentralized, the increase in electricity storage capacity is a necessity. In the past, sometimes there are some obstacles, you can say technological, regulatory, and economical, but now we can see that research is going on, and we'll talk about this. I want, just before you talk about your innovation and new services, I will ask to all of us, all of you, the one question. Do you think that now we are, as we can say, at a turning point, that really there is an acceleration in all the subject of storage and batteries? You can start if you want, because you speak English.
Great, let's do it. My microphone's working, I guess. Just thinking of batteries on my mind. I mean, undoubtedly, Natalie, we are at an inflection point in terms of how we manage energy in our world, how the grid works, how we generate energy.
You can, your microphone, yes, near mouth, because
good. Yeah, this is better, right?
It's better.
Perfect.
Yes. Okay, thank
you. Perfect. So you know, today across the sessions, we've talked about so many different facets of this. I'm not going to try and cover those, but focusing just on storage, the real game changer for me here is the fact that over the last 10 years, we've gone from a system, an energy system where we have power plants generating power for everybody, to a system where now everybody's energy needs can be taken into their own hands. Firstly, with solar. Solar allows us to have a modular way of generating power where you no longer need to be doing it megawatts and gigawatts at a time. You can have a simple solar rooftop system. And then putting batteries together with that, you also have a modular system where you no longer need to be doing this at a large scale, but you can have a small business or a residential home with their own batteries, generating, storing power, and participating in the whole ecosystem. And to me, that's the real game changer. And from that, so many other opportunities flow across how we generate power in the grid as a whole. Do we need the reliance of fossil fuels that we've had so far? Hopefully not. And so many other opportunities. So I'll pause there, but to me that's the biggest inflection point that we're going through right now.
Thank you, Philippe. Jacques, about this question also?
Yes, so obviously, yes. I think we don't need to spend a lot of time on this one. It's obvious that we are really in a turning point, and I think the recent geopolitical crisis now again highlights how it's important to further develop the autonomy and sovereignty of Europe on these energy aspects. We see the electric vehicles really booming with when you look at the figures which are expected for 2030, it just unbelievable. And I remember a discussion I had 2 or 3 years ago with a guy who is really leading the European Battery Alliance in Brussels, and he was saying, but you know, it's the first time we are facing such a challenge from an industrial point of view, really to get all the different segments of the value chain aligned, so that really we will be able to deliver what is needed. And now we see the OEMs in the automotive world. Everybody really change up their mind, and they are all now really fully engaged in electric vehicles. That's done. I think now it's not about whether it will come or not. It's really how we will be able really to manage to deal with all the requirements regarding the supply side, regarding the recycling activities, so that and also what are the different business models, and how all these new technologies will really transform and revolutionize the energy world.
And also it's a question of independence, and for Europe it's very important. We see the development of a gigafactory, and we will talk about this also, so it's an important point, and we know that storage and batteries are the key to develop renewable energy. And
I would say it's one key.
Yes. Arnaud Villers D'ARBOUET sur about this. Parfois c'est pas facile de vous parler en français.
No,
the same question.
the same question, not the same answer, but I agree with the answers, the previous answers. But I would like to give another highlight on this point. It sounds like an evidence, and we have major stakes huge stakes to address today, and this is not topic of one guy or one company. This is a global topic, and regarding all this period in which we are, which is a huge transformation, as Philippe and Svet precise just previously. One topic I would like to highlight is that for this transition, we have to think globally. And we have to think not on an industrial point, not on a startup point, but to succeed in this transition, we need to work together. We don't need the best solutions. We need many solutions that we will improve in the next future. And this is a mindset in which I think we should go strongly.
Yes. So it was to start this round table, we should not begin about talking about only innovation and services, but now it's time for each other to say a little bit more about his enterprise or about his association. I will start with you, Svet BAJLEKOV, to say a little bit more. What is AMMP?
Perfect. Thanks. In a nutshell, we connect with distributed energy resources, mostly solar PV, batteries, diesel generators, smart meters, and we do monitoring and management of these systems. So the core of our work, as Natalie said, is in emerging markets, where we work with operators and owners of portfolios of such systems. So, think about commercial and industrial rooftop solar. Think about backup generation, backup power, smart grids in different places around the world. We connect with those systems. We allow the operators to firstly get a unified view across their operations of these systems. We allow them to do remote management optimizations, reporting, and really take the data, the operational data from those energy resources and feed that data into the business processes that they have, whether that's, again, reporting, billing, invoicing, customer service, and so forth. That's what we do in a nutshell.
Okay, and for emerging markets only?
Not only. I mean, we work globally, including customers in Europe. I would say that we kind of have our roots in emerging markets. As a tiny bit of history, we essentially spun out of a company that was owned by E.ON, the German energy firm previously, where we were building mini grids in Africa. We built the software layer for managing those, and then ended up spinning that out into AMP. So a lot of our networks and initial customers were there. Now, technologically, the sorts of use cases that we have are becoming more and more global. The kinds of energy systems that are being built with solar, batteries, again, backup power, those are quite similar across the globe. And the way that we work with them technologically is also quite similar. So we do see a pretty universal customer base.
Yes, and it's not also only renewable energy. It can be something hybrid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say actually pretty much all of the systems we do run have a renewable energy component. Mm-hmm. Many of them, if not the majority, are hybrid with something else. So, of course, we're here speaking about batteries. At least 50% of the systems that we run do have battery storage. So that's where we've accumulated a lot of experience working with those, figuring out how to, firstly, balance the batteries with the PV, with potentially diesel generation or other energy resources. And secondly, use the batteries to really get the most value out of the system. Whether that's peak shaving, whether it's maximizing your renewable fraction by making sure that if you have excess solar, you can store that in your batteries and then obviously dispatch it at night or at other times that you have the needs. So really, I'd say one of our strengths is in working with more complex systems that have that hybrid aspect to them.
Okay, and do you have industrials in your clients? Yeah.
Yeah. So most of them.
Most are industrial.
Well, I'd say most companies that we serve are, I'd say, mid-sized companies that will have, that will have a few hundred assets that they're running. The users of the power tend to be commercial and industrial customers. So the factories or offices that are using the power that we are managing tend to be commercial and industrial.
Yeah. And how many data by day do you treat? A lot? Million?
Yeah. No, we did count recently. we get about 100 million data points every day.
Oh, yeah.
So quite a lot, yeah.
Quite a lot. Okay, well, maybe after I will have a question, and if you have some question, you can also ask to Svet your question, but we go on, and I will talk about Mecaware now. After I will ask question to Philippe Jacques, but first of all to Arnaud VILLERS D'ARBOUET about Mecaware for metal mixture for waste recycling. So it's a point very important when we talk about storage and batteries. It's the question of recycling.
The question is vast.
Yes.
In the battery value chain, we are focused on the recycling cycle inside the battery value chain. Yes, and in Mecaware we develop a breakthrough innovation of chemistry. We work on hydrometallurgical process to extract metals, and from the end-of-life batteries or scraps productions of gigafactories, we extract the metals to be able to bring them back to the industry and to manufacture new electrodes. And the needs are huge to go on this point because the expectations in 2030 is to have around 5 million tons of critical metals in the industry that we do not have today in Europe. So recycling will not do the job, but recycling has a part has to be part of the job to recover these metals and to optimize the metal used in this activity.
Mm-hmm. And a critical metal is what? Lithium, cobalt? What is
critical metals, yes. Today, the battery industry that is emerging is focused on lithium-ion batteries that needs lithium, cobalt, manganese, nickel, and other metals, copper and aluminium. But the critical metals inside are these metals: lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt. We can see a new chemistry in development, which is lithium ion 2, but is lithium phosphate, iron phosphate, which needs less critical metals, only lithium in this chemistry. But the market is really focused on these critical metals.
Okay, well, it's one of the points you talk about recycling, but also you capture CO2 also with your
our process is specific, because we are on a breakthrough innovation, as I said, and in fact the hydrometallurgy we proceed is using the qualities of the CO2, the carbon dioxide, and we can use in our process the carbon dioxide coming from industrial emissions, and we capture the carbon dioxide emissions from industrial emitters, and we use it in the process. We are making carbonates from one side, and we are exhausting pure CO2 on the other side. And this process is really different from the classical hydrometallurgical process. We don't need petroleum products, acids, to develop the process, and we have no effluents to treat. So at the end, we are very relevant with less capex, less opex, really different, and we are virtuous because we give a new life to this waste, which is CO2 in the process.
And it's a good example of circular economy.
We do our best. Yes, this is we are on two cycles of the economy circular.
I think you are at the beginning. You made some.
We are a young company. Yes, yes. We launched the company last year, beginning of 2021. We are the first pilot which ran since last November, in fact, and we have produced our first metals, and we are in the process to deploy the technology to be able to launch first industrial line end of 2024, beginning of 2025. Yes.
But I think this technology is not too expensive.
We are less expensive than the investment needed by the hydrometallurgical process, the classical hydrometallurgical process, but we need capex.
Yes.
Too, yes. And in the startup history that we need fundraising and supporting by grants and other things to develop and to deploy our technology. Yes.
Are you very unique, or are there other startups who do something similar?
I think every laboratory in the world is looking to recycle batteries, to extract metals from batteries or from other waste. There are many topics, not only in the batteries. Today, we didn't identify yet technology as different as ours is. There are in the industrial deployment in the world, and in Europe it starts too. We can see different application models of the hydrometallurgical process. You understand me? Thank you. Because in this classical process, you have huge investment, and you have one big factory, and the model that is deployed today is the preparations are close to the sourcing of the batteries or of the waste, and then you transport what we call the black mass, so the battery is created to the industrial line to recycle the metals. We are on another model because we have a very compact process regarding the classical process, and our mindset is to implement one factory close to one sourcing of waste. Completely different. Yeah.
Okay, and you told, and after I will ask question to Philippe Jacques, but you told me that what is important in all this subject of storage and batteries is that we can be we can work alone, and that it's very important for each other to.
Yes, on the recycling cycle, we are part of the cycle, and we have a specific skill in this cycle, but there are many skills to align to be able to deliver in this recycling cycle. Yes, and we need to work together with other industrials. Yes.
Okay, so we see two technology, and now we will talk about research with you, Philippe Jacques, from Emiri, the Energy Materials Industrial Research Initiative. Yes. And can you explain a little bit more what is your association?
We are not selling solutions or proposing technologies. We are really facilitating access to, well, even not facilitating access. We are trying to work with the European Commission really to develop the most appropriate research programs, really to de-risk the development of a new and innovative process like the one of Arnaud in the field of clean technologies for mobility and energy. So both on energy production like solar, wind, and other renewable energies, but also on the storage side with batteries or hydrogen, and also the highly demanding sectors like buildings and also energy intensive industry. So what we are really, what the core of our activities is to identify what are really the most urgent challenges to be tackled from a research and innovation point of view, where really advanced materials can really contribute to develop better solutions. And by better, it means better performances, greener, more sustainable, and recyclable solutions, and really by contributing and by really gathering the input from all our members. So we are today in Emiri, we are gathering about 20 industrial companies like Dow, Solvay, Umicore, Siemens, Saft, and others, and also about 40 research organizations. CEA is one of our big members, Fraunhofer in Germany, Sintef in Norway, and others. And so we are really networking and trying to elaborate with this community the policy recommendations for the European Commission, really to elaborate their research programs, and really to also helping them to draft the calls that you will see in Horizon Europe. So you see the calls which are coming every year, and that you have the opportunity to apply for getting grants. And so really we are really working up front of this, really to identify the most appropriate topics and to push for these topics to be really selected and incorporated into the work programs.
And do you help, as I say, enterprise to find also money?
So no, we are not acting like innovation consultant firms, which are well, that's really their business, and so we are more again upstream and really working on the elaboration of the work programs. Of course, this also generates a lot of exchange and networking between the members. So that means that they used to know better each other, and also to identify what are the let's say the strengths and of the others, and so also to be able to start working and elaborate some projects proposals. So it's also let's say, but it's more a side effect from the work that we are trying to make with all our members. And so this is my Emiri hat. I have also another one, which is maybe also on the slide. So I'm acting as a Secretary General of BEPA, which is the Batteries European Partnership Association. So for batteries, maybe you know that there is now an official partnership which has been established between the private, all the stakeholders of the different segments of the battery value chain, which are gathered in BEPA, this association, and the European Commission. And this one is really the official, let's say, body which is really building the work program on batteries. So Emiri is broader than batteries,
yes.
but and really focus on advanced materials for hydrogen and other sectors. BEPA is really focused on the battery segment, and so this partnership is called Bat4EU. The purpose is really to develop the new technology that will support all the industry, which is now trying to, not only trying, but really investing intensively in Europe, in these gigafactories and so on. And so really, so that we will be able to come with solutions for the next generation of batteries that will not be dependent from China or elsewhere. So it's really from a strategic point of view, it's also to contribute to this sovereignty and autonomy of Europe by avoiding to have in 5 years or 10 years from now, when these gigafactories will implement the next generations, that they would have to depend from foreign countries' technology. So that's what we are basically doing. So sometimes it's complex even for me, so I guess it might raise a lot of questions to you, but don't hesitate to read them.
When was it created, Emiri?
Emiri is 10 years old now.
10
so
years,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And since the beginning, I think you saw a lot of innovation, new services, new enterprise startup like Mecaware. That is something very you see that
there are a lot, and there are a lot of instruments which are available at national, regional, or European level to really to support and to contribute. I think there is really one at the European level which is really very powerful now, which is the European Innovation Council, which is, well, we are also contributing with this one really to identify and to recommend the programs and really who to support. We are not acting actively in the selection process. That's not at all our role. We are just providing the policy recommendations.
And I will, after, if you have some question, I will give you a microphone and you can ask question. I think it's more interesting that you can also ask questions to all the speakers. But for you and maybe for Arnaud, question, you talk about independence, you talk about China. Do you think that Europe can have possibility to be totally independent and have gigafactories, as you said? And
totally independent, I think it will be difficult. It will be difficult, but I think that at least we can have some independence. We need desperately to have this circular economy in place, because otherwise we would face some supply issues in maybe in 20 or 30 years from now. So we need really to be able to recycle and to reuse all the materials from the end-of-use batteries, that's for sure. And this will contribute to this sovereignty. So, and by the way, just one figure that I did not mention. So, Bat4EU, this partnership is managing 925 million euro of funding over the 7 years of the Horizon Europe work program, just to give you a clue on the dimension.
Arnaud, you want also to answer this question?
Yes, today we are far from the independence, really. But we have to find a new equilibrium, in fact. This is, I agree with what Philippe said, of course. But this is not only a topic of independence. I think this is also a mix with independence, for sure, but for what kind of society with high S, big S, large S, which one you want, we want to have and in which we want to live. And this is also a topic of climate change. and this is at the top of the stakes. So this is a mix of all that. Independence is an important question for political reasons, for economical reasons, first, of course.
Do you want to say something also, Svet, about this point, or another point, or something special, just before questions?
No, I mean, I think it's a fascinating point. In terms of just thinking not just about the batteries, and I'd love to have even more of a conversation around, you know, how much independence can we have in the battery space? You know, I know, for example, I'm familiar with the situation in DRC where we get cobalt, which is, you know, the world is hugely dependent on this very fragile economy for 90% of the cobalt that goes into all of the electric vehicles currently. But if you think broader than that, if you think about solar panels, which are now pretty much exclusively made in China, if you think about many of the other tools around the energy transition, what are the pragmatic choices that we can make that push us in the right direction? Because at the moment, there's just so much intertwining of the global economy that, as you said, Arnaud, I'm not sure independence is something that we'll ever have. We just need to figure out what is a sensible way forward, and what are the different building blocks, and how does everybody in this ecosystem play their part to get us to a good outcome.
Want to say something?
Just a reaction on this. I think we are global, and well, we are on we have one planet, and I think it would be a big mistake to go back in blocks, one against the other. So we need to find a way to manage it correctly. But I think it's the recent geopolitical situation really demonstrated how important it is to get some independence, and at least to have a mix of solutions that really help you not to be just fully binded with we fully bound with just one or some provider. So for cobalt, you are right, but we need to develop also technology that will be alternative to the one really relying on cobalt. We need to develop not to have only lithium, but also maybe sodium-ion solution, which are cheaper and less performant batteries. But for some application, it will be enough. For stationary, that could be a solution. So there are a lot of chemistries that are available that each have the benefits and drawbacks, and we need to develop them in a smart way, so that really we are not just dependent on one aspect. Yeah.
Alors, do you have some questions? Est-ce que vous avez des questions? Si c'est le cas, voilà, je vais vous tendre un micro live.
Allô, oui. Oui, bonjour. Je m'appelle Pierre Pénel, je suis consultant en énergie sur les aspects développement d'affaires. Le titre, je vais revenir un petit peu sur le titre parce que vous parliez des innovations et des nouveaux services. Je m'attendais à avoir parlé de nouveaux services un peu révolutionnaires sur les batteries, apprendre des choses. Alors, je ne sais pas ce que vous aviez en tête, mais peut-être couvrir ce sujet-là. Est-ce que c'est des services réseau, ou est-ce que c'est des nouveaux services d'utilisation qu'on n'a pas encore explorés, ou qu'est-ce qui se cache derrière un petit peu les nouveaux services? Oh, I can do that in English. I forgot. I said the title was quite exciting, about new services, about storage and batteries, and you didn't really touch that point. It's a lot about innovation and recycling and supply chain you mentioned. So I was curious what's behind new services of batteries and storage.
I like to start on one point, because recycling batteries is a new service, in fact. Today in Europe, we have, in 2020, so the figures of 2020, we had 4,000 tons of cells of lithium ion at their end of life. And we had at the same time 17,000 tons of recycling capacities. So 3 times less than the needs at this in 2020. And for the industry emerging in the battery industry, recycling is a huge topic, and solutions are not so evident as that. And this is really a new activity in which we all have to be performant and we all have to be innovative. this is for my part, my point of view, but this is really a new topic in this value chain.
It's clear. It's clear for you. Yes. It's why we choose also all this the panel to. But you can answer. Yes.
Yeah. No. I just want to say. I mean, of course, there, as Arnaud also said, of course, the services span a very wide scope. I think when many people think about services from batteries, the question is, well, what value does the battery bring to me? And there, it's I would say a very exciting space because there are a lot of opportunities currently being pursued, and B, still a little bit of a wild west, both in terms of regulations that allow these different services that exist, and I'll mention a couple of them, but also in really figuring out how do we get the most value out of them. So I mentioned near the start of my talk some of the things, of course, batteries as backup, so thinking of stationary storage, batteries for grid balancing, and one of my friends likes to describe batteries as sprinkling magic dust on the grid. You can do so many different things with them. You can, I think maybe the most common one that people are familiar with, you've got intermittent solar, intermittent wind, that in some place around Europe are now getting to something like 50% of energy generated at some given point during the day. Of course, batteries are the most obvious way to even that out, to make sure that you can get to high penetration levels of renewables, of intermittency, and continue pushing that without needing to continue relying on fossil fuels. On a smaller basis, so again, if we think through large scale applications of batteries on the grid level, those are some of the ones. As we start shrinking the scale on the commercial and industrial side, you have things like peak shaving, you have things like demand response, things like increasing the renewable fraction, having a solar or a wind resource that you can then maximize the use of through batteries. So a lot of really exciting things that you can do with them. A lot of great sort of, I'd say, pilot projects that are happening all over the place, really great demonstration projects. I think the regulations are still maybe a few years behind what the true potential there is.
And yeah, maybe just to add to your list, vehicle to grid, which will come. But again, the regulation, I think, still need to be clarified and really what will be available. I think we are really facing really a revolution in I think that was your introduction about this more or less monopolistic or oligopolistic energy providers to a world where tomorrow everybody will be providing and generating energy.
Yeah, completely.
J'espère que ça vous a éclairé un peu plus. Merci. Je vous passe le micro.
Yes, I'm Blaise de Charentenay. My question is probably for you, Philippe. In terms of innovations where we speak about battery, it seems that today innovation doesn't think about end of life of the battery, and we are in situations where Arnaud, you said that the new service is recycling, but shouldn't we see the design of a battery as globally from its beginning of life, plus when it is going to be used as a battery, and then the recycling, the recycling phase, in order to save some, in order to face the scarcity of resources, which at some stage will be unavoidable.
Thank you very much for.
Ce qu'on appelle l'éco-conception.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
eco-conception.
Eco-conception, and now there is a new initiative which is really launched by the European Commission about safe and sustainable by design, which is really considering this aspect from the design phase, and that's. There is a huge consultation and work ongoing really on defining really what are the criteria that will need to be agreed and really, let's say, standardized, more or less officialized, so that really we will have this framework really to assess really what will be the most appropriate topics to consider, and how to integrate this from the beginning, from the early conception of the development of batteries. That's something which is also very much pushed by some initiatives like Batterie 2030 Plus. I don't know if you heard about this one, which is it's a consortium of, so it's a collaboration agreement which is funded by the Commission, which is gathering about 20 research organizations in Europe, really, which are really experts in the field of batteries, which are developing a roadmap for disruptive technologies on batteries, and recyclability, manufacturability and recyclability are really two of the cross-cutting topics that are really considered in all the different activities they are proposing. I really invite you to have a look at their website, Batterie 2030 Plus. Yeah.
Thank you. Une autre question peut-être? Non? C'est clair pour tout le monde? Bon.
And maybe an additional comment on this. Second use is also, and I think that's also addressing your point, second use of batteries, so really retrofitting batteries or really assessing the state of health of batteries, of battery electric vehicles, and at the end of life, and deciding to reuse them for in a less demanding application like stationary is definitely something which is also ongoing. A lot of research which is done in that field, and we will see also this as a new service in the coming years before going to recycling, just to extend the life of the batteries. It's
nearly the end of this roundtable. Do you want to give a conclusion? Maybe talk about the market, do you think that we will have other innovation and new services in the future? Maybe you can say whatever you want to spend. Yes.
Yeah, as I think I've made clear in my remarks earlier, this is a hugely exciting time to be in this space, because there are so many different opportunities that are opening up, both in terms of how we create batteries, how we deal with them during their lifetime, what we actually do with them, and how we also, from the digital side, manage them to make sure that we get the most value out of them. We're just at the beginning of understanding so many of these different aspects of it, and it's, I'd encourage, first of all, everybody to get involved in this, because there is no shortage of interesting things to look at, to work on, interesting problems that are going to be defining of our energy future and of our resource future, and peace and stability and everything else that kind of flows from it. I'm not sure there's more I can say. It's a little bit of a Wild West in some respect, but also a very exciting time as we see regulation and supply chains evolve.
Thank you. Philippe.
Well, I can only invite you, if you are really interested in developing these kind of collaborations and really sharing your views on really what should be done in the field of batteries, really to consider joining either Emiri or BEPA, because that's really, in BEPA we are gathering nearly 200 different stakeholders from research and industry, really coming from the different segments of the battery value chain. And this battery value chain has to be circular. So, as you mentioned, Arnaud, we cannot do it alone. So we need, most of the developments will come from appropriate collaborations between different partners in the different segments of the value chain. So, and for this, these kind of associations like Emiri and BEPA are really a very good place really to meet your stakeholders from the full battery value chain from all over Europe.
Arnaud?
Yes, on the main important thing behind the innovation, is that we have to deliver, and that's the point. We have to find solutions to deliver and to do them.
It's a good conclusion. So, on est venu me dire qu'on devait arrêter. That it will be the end, because there will be another conference just after us. So thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers. Merci beaucoup et très bon salon. Il y a encore des conférences. Demain aussi, j'aurai le plaisir d'animer une plénière aussi sur la transition énergétique et l'acceptabilité, ce qui est un sujet aussi important. Merci beaucoup. Bonne soirée.